out like this, y'all. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-class man. If you a high-earning, high-value, high-class man, throw your hands in the air. Let us see your watch band. I don't shout brand names out, cause they don't pay me. But that watch you got, let us know you made it. Where my CIA's at? Where your FBI's at? Spin a dub like it's nothing, you gon' make it right back. Sign another contract, that's money, money, money. More money, more power, more honeys, honeys, honeys. When you walk in the room, all they see is swag. Nice suit, well groomed, ladies want you bad. Got that real man cologne, ain't nobody spray. Look her straight in the eyes, never look away. She ain't jumped in no pool, but she's feeling wet. And by the end of the night, you gon' make her sweat. You ain't gotta say 2 words for people to know. You a high-value man, don't steal the show. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-class man. If you's a high-value man, you ain't gotta say it. And if you front like one, well, they can tell you playing. Cause real recognize real. You don't look familiar. Brothers know you a joke. Ladies just don't feel ya. You don't work out. You don't got no style. No confidence at all. And it's been a while since you had a lady friend come and turn you out. Cause you can't bring chicks over your mom's house. Get your money up. Get your mind right. Go to therapy. Get a sense of purpose in your life. Stop spending all day in the red pill space with that red pill rage. Straight hating on babes. Learn to communicate. Stop being so needy. The ladies will come, homie, please believe me. Kevin Samuels was right. Life gets much better if you step your game up and become a go-getter. Step up. And if you already reached the top, you a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. And if you've already reached the top, you's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-class man. Where my CIA's at? Where my CIA's at? Where my CIA's at? Where my CIA's at? Where your FBI's at? Where your FBI's at? Where your FBI's at? Where your FBI's at? Where my CIA's at? Where my CIA's at? Where my CIA's at? Where my CIA's at? Where your FBI's at? Where your FBI's at? Where your FBI's at? Where your FBI's at? Yeah. That's CIA, confident, intelligent, assertive. FBI, feminine, beautiful, inspirational. I ain't trying to sit here and spell this out all day for y'all. I'm out of here.
It's the Introvert Dating Success Podcast, the show for introverted men that's all about learning how to attract beautiful women and still get your precious alone time. And now, here's your host, dating coach and fellow introvert, Harry Wilmington.
What up, IDS Mob? Welcome to the Introvert Dating Success Show. This is the show where you learn how to date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. It's a wonderful Sunday afternoon, and I decided, you know what? I want to get on here and help some guys out this afternoon. So that's what we're going to do. Let me know. I got a new mic set up, so I have an actual mic that's like up above me. So let me know if you guys can hear that in the chat. And as I said, this show is always about you guys. So if you guys have any questions during the show that you want to ask me, I've already got a couple of questions in the chat that I'll go ahead and answer, but you can definitely leave those in the chat and I will get to them. The main topic we're talking about today is going to be the 5 ways to become a more decisive man. We're going to talk about the 5 reasons why women find decisive men more attractive, and then talk about how you can actually be a more decisive man. And actually I have videos to go with that, which I have not loaded up yet. So let me just do some pre-show stuff I should have done. I was still getting some other stuff ready in advance of this show. But yeah, like I said, guys, you guys can leave whatever questions you have in the chat, and I'll be happy to help you with those, as I like to tend to do. Let me do this one here. Okay, so open.
Women wish.
Okay, so we're going to show a couple of videos today. I'm not showing these yet. This is just to get them loaded up. So they'll already be up here to show you guys later. It's this one here. Okay, all right. And then we have one more here. So yeah, we got a lot of great stuff we're going to be showing you guys today, as you can see from the little preview there. As always, guys, if you guys want more help with coaching or advice, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. If you have questions you want me to answer on one of these shows, you can write to me at harrywilmington@gmail.com or leave comments on any of my videos, because I check all of them for comments for this show. And of course, guys, be sure to go to the website for more ebooks, audiobooks, programs, albums, like my aforementioned new album that just came out, Kevin Samuels Was Right. All that stuff's available for purchase. Go to the website, click on the products tab, and you'll be taken to where you can get all this stuff. And you can also preview most of the stuff that I have available for you guys. All right. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and start getting into comments that people are leaving or have left me in the past week. And I'll start actually with a comment that's on my chat stream. So this guy on my chat stream has a comment, and this is in reference to, he's been on some of my previous streams where he was talking about this girl that suddenly stopped talking to him, and he wanted to know, should he reach out? Should he wait for her to reach out? I'm always of the thought that women that like you help you, and women that don't won't. And if there's a point in time where a woman feels as though she doesn't want to connect with you, the worst thing that you can do is try to chase after her or throw her a bunch of texts saying, hey, I miss you, I want to see you, what's going on. That's a situation where she might need time away from you. One, just because she might need a break, but also because maybe you were too forceful in your pursuit, and she needs to get the feeling that your world's not going to crumble or end just because she decided to stop talking to you. So this guy commented, he said, Coach, after remaining in no contact for 5 weeks, she didn't talk to him for 5 weeks, y'all. She came back. Last night, she hit me up on Snapchat, texting me. She hoped all was well. Responded 13, and so he responded 13 hours later with a like. Today, she sent a snap. I opened it, but I've yet to respond. What should I do now? She has shown avoidant tendencies. Well, what's really happening is, at the point where a woman starts pulling away or avoiding you, more often than not, it means that you're coming on a little too strong, and now she needs to back up to kind of reset, all right? So, but this can happen, where if you are actually leaving a woman alone, she will start to realize in your absence how much she missed talking to you, seeing you, etc. Or she could be like, I wonder if I still have his attention. In either case, you may see the woman reach out. At that point, what are you supposed to do? My thing is this: when a woman reaches out to you, that is indicative of her probably wanting to see you. At which point, if she reaches out and says, hope all is well, you want to respond back something like, oh yeah, I'm doing great. Let me know if you're free. I'd love to meet up and catch up sometime. And then you invite her over to your place. It's very, very simple, because we're going to assume that when a woman reaches out, that means that she wants to see you. And you, as the guy, should only be using texting, messaging, Snapchatting, WhatsApping, social mediaing, whatever, to get dates with this person. So when they reach back out, we're going to assume that means that she's probably interested, and you just suggest that you guys meet up. It's very, very simple. Now, if you do that and she doesn't respond back, then you know that she was just reaching out to get your attention, in which case, good, because you want to make moves that are going to either make a woman show that she's going to try to move towards you and likes you, or that's going to make her want to back away again, because we don't want women that are just going to play with you or that are just using this to get some kind of attention. We want women in your life that are trying to show you that they want to be around. And I've said in previous shows, when women reach out, like if she doesn't talk to you for weeks, right? She's not going to reach out and say, hey, sorry I didn't talk to you for weeks on end, but I was going through some crazy stuff and blah, 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 because to them, that's silly. But what they're going to do is they're going to reach out and say, hey, stranger, hey, big head, I just wanted to see how you're doing. What's going on? And that could either be a signal that she wants to see you or that she wants your attention. But that's why you make the move of, okay, great. So then let's meet up. Or, hey, I'm missing you too. We should catch up. Come over to my place. We'll make dinner and make a night of it. That's it. If she rejects it, you know what it is. And either way, regardless, she's not currently your girlfriend.
focus on other women. Now, ideally, she's in the town where you at. If I don't remember this girl was long distance or not. If she's far away, then I say that's not really a thing. You're not trying to have a pen pal or texting pal, right? But if assuming she's in your town, in your area, then if she reached out, take that as a signal that she wants to see you and set something up, preferably at your apartment if you have your own place, to be able to see this person and then make moves necessary to see if she's really trying to be there for you and wants to be around you, or if she's just playing games. So hopefully that helps you out, guy. So like I said, guys, the show's about you. If you have any questions, leave them in the chat. We're going to go to some of the questions that I've gotten in the past week from other comments people have left, as well as some messages that I've gotten in my email box, all right? And you guys can always write me at harrywilmington@gmail.com, all right? So this guy left a message recently. He wrote me. He said, I met a girl at my customer's workspace, and we started talking a lot. It seemed like she was interested in me because she would call for silly reasons. So I started texting her good morning messages. Oh, good Lord. All right, we'll get more of that in a minute. At first, she would reply late with lots of smileys, and our conversations would extend. So I thought it was a good sign. However, these days, she just replies with plain messages and no smileys. I only text her on Sundays, and when we meet in person, she talks a lot. Now I'm confused about whether she's interested in me or not. Can you please help? So before I answer the plethora of things that are in this message, I wrote him a simple question, and I asked him, have you asked this woman out on a date yet? And his response was, I have not. So already we're wasting our time. Like, I would still go through his message and answer things, but here's the bottom line, is that he has done nothing to let this woman actually know that he actually wants to be with her, because he has not asked her out on a date. And that is primary. You can have all the questions about a woman in the world. Hey, she's texting this and that, but I don't know what this symbol means or this thing means. Or I see her sometimes and then she'll be laughing other times, this is that. I don't know what's going on. Have you asked her on a freaking date? If you've not asked her on a date, then all the things you're asking are irrelevant, because that is the sign. If you ask her on a date and she says yes, then she's interested and you can proceed from there. If you ask her out and she gives you a maybe or a, oh, well, I'm busy, or, well, I don't know, or I see you as a friend, then you know she's not interested. And I'm saying this because I'm tired of you guys being so stuck in your head about, can I tell if a woman likes me or not? You're not going to find that out, and she's not going to know if she likes you until you guys get on a date and have some time with each other, all right? So you need to ask for the date first, and then all the answers to all these other questions will matter a lot more than they do right now. But I will go through his message anyway. So first thing, she seems interested because she would call me for silly reasons, so I started texting her good morning messages. No, we don't do that. As men, you should not be texting women that you haven't even gone on a date with good morning text. If you meet a woman on a dating app, you shouldn't be sending good morning text, because that signals that you're already choosing her as your person. And women have a thing about men already choosing them when they don't really know them yet. It makes them feel like this is now a forced interaction, because now when you send a good morning text, it's indicating to her that you're already seeing this as a relationship. And so now we should already establish regular communication. But she doesn't know you enough to know if she wants that with you or not. So why are you sending a good morning text? I don't even send good morning text when I'm in relationships. So the point is that is an example of a not necessary text. What you should be doing is asking this woman on a date. You use texting, Snapchat, WhatsApp, whatever, to set dates. That is it. You meet them on a dating app, banter for a little bit, and then you say, hey, this is a great conversation. We should go on a date and meet up. So anyway, he says, first she would reply late with lots of smileys, then she would blah, blah, blah. So he's saying basically, at first she responded with smileys, and now she just responded with plain text. This is why we do not use texting in terms of the type of text as a barometer for a woman's interest, because early on, it's going to mess you up. Because you're going to be like, well, she used to send heart emojis with all of her texts, and now she doesn't send heart emojis anymore. She must not like me as much. You have not been on a date with her, so there's nothing to gauge other than maybe she got tired of using emojis. Maybe she figured these emojis are silly, and I just want to send him a regular message. But you're going to use it as a misread, all right? So again, this is why you want to cut the bull crap and get straight to asking a woman on a date. He says, these days she just replies to plain messages and no smileys. I only text her on Sundays. And I don't know how they're meeting in person, because they're not meeting in person on dates. So I guess wherever the customer's workspace is, he's going to that too. But again, most women, if they're texting you, even like a good 2 days solid, right? They're assuming if I'm texting this dude for like 2 good days, he's going to ask me out. So maybe she went from emojis to plain messages because she figured at some point he's going to ask me out, right? And she just got kind of tired of like sending these extra emojis that were supposed to indicate to you that she wants you to ask her out. But all this to say, the end result is this, is that we don't know if she's interested or not, because women build their interest up when they go on dates and have experiences with you and are able to tangibly get results that indicate to them that, you know what, this person might be a good match for me. So my answer to this in terms of helping you is to ask for the date and see what she says. It's simple. Hey, so-and-so, I'd love to take you out. I'm available this day or this day. Let me know what works for you. Very simple. And then you go about it from there. All right. So hopefully this helps you out, guy. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'm going to check my sound real quick here. I hope you guys can hear me. Okay. Check 1 2 1 2. Oh my God, I went really fast. Okay, how was I gonna hear it? There we go. All right, what is going on with my camera? There we go. All right, jeez, Louisa, that's lives, people. Okay, so let me know if you guys could hear the previous stuff I just said, because if not, I will go over all of that again. All right, so I answered short text questions, and we have a guy named Future Boy that's up on here now that has a question. If you have a question, by all means, definitely you can ask it and go right ahead. So I want to make sure the sound is good this time so you guys can actually hear what I'm saying. Sound was good. Okay, great. Thank you. So I just plugged in my overhead mic. So that means the mic is probably, okay, good. Thanks, excellent. Okay, so Future Boy, feel free to ask your question. While you're asking your question, I will go ahead and get on to the next comment that I had left on my thing here. Okay, so I had a question from a guy, and he asked, what advice do you have for introverts specifically to tell if a woman wants to sleep with you during a date that is going well? That is a very interesting question, because I know, as I told you guys before, on signs, you want to look for choosing signals. You want to look for signals that indicate that she's building attraction towards you, whether she's twirling your hair and whatnot. And so you may be thinking, okay, this is like date number 3, and I'm thinking that, this is around the time that this kind of action would happen, whereby we'd be sleeping with each other, but I don't know what to look for, right? Here's the thing, guy. It's not so much that you're looking for signals, which you're always going to be looking for, but it's more about, if she gives you those signals, are you now bold enough to make those moves? Because the reality is, a woman that wants to sleep with you on a date is not going to come out and just say, hey, I'm having a good time with you. Let's go back to my place and sleep together. Like, that's not what's going to happen. She might do something like, hey, let's go back to my place real quick. Or, hey, I want to show you the new couch that I got. Or I want to show you this painting that I have. Or I want to, let's go up there for a cup of coffee, the standard tradition one, right? So all of these things are going to be indicating that she probably wants to do some stuff. All right. But none of that's going to matter if you're not able to actually pull the trigger, because the reality is, you might be on a date, for example, with a woman that's kind of like gun shy and is afraid to suggest that you come up to her place, because she might be thinking, if I ask him to come up to my place, then he's going to think that I'm a loose person, and judgment, because women are always worried about being judged in these situations, right? So instead, you have to be the one to make some of these suggestions. And so as an introvert, that might be hard, because we're always analyzing and thinking, okay, if she says this thing or does this thing, then that means that it's okay for me to suggest sleeping together. And that might not be the case. So you might have to be the one to say, I remember one time I was on a date with a woman, for example, and it got to the end of the night. We'd had a pretty good time on this date, and I wasn't sure where the night was going to go, but I pulled up to her place to drop her off, and she was sitting in my car like, oh, this is such a great date. Like, I don't want this night to end. It's so great. And I just said, well, if you want to stop by, we can watch the movies and just kind of hang out some more and talk. And she was like, oh, okay. So all she was looking for was an opening where I was going to say something that allowed her to latch onto the idea that I had, so we could go do some stuff that she wanted to do the whole time. I know it's confusing for guys, because we're like, why don't they just tell us? And I'm telling you, women are judging the society to where they have learned that they're trying to put out stuff passively to us that they hope we catch. And this is why it's important to study
female communication and passive language and learning the intuition of when certain things are said or certain actions are done, this is what they actually mean. That way you'll be prepared to be able to get what you want. Now, if you're studying this stuff up, as introverts should be doing, that way communication is easier, then you'll know based on a woman's body language and social cues that she's going to be ready for this to possibly happen. Now, here's an important thing too, right? Is that at any given time, a woman is open to change her mind. Meaning, let's say she gives you that invite to her apartment, and then you get up there, and all of a sudden she's flaky, she's not sure she wants to do some stuff. This is where you being indifferent to outcomes comes in, because you might sometimes have to literally tell the woman, look, you know what? I know you brought me up here, but ultimately I'm just here to have a good time with you in whatever capacity that is. If we happen to do some stuff, great. But if we just play board games or just watch TV or play Nintendo or whatever, like that's totally fine also. I'm just here to have a good time, whatever that means. And the fact that you say whatever that means, what that lets her know is, hey, you know what? This guy is totally down to not do stuff with me and still have a good time. But he's also leaving the door open for me to change my mind, because she's going to need an out. If she's saying this stuff like, well, I don't normally hook up with guys on the second date, blah, 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 then the hard thing for her is going to be to backtrack that later. But if you say, hey, you know what? If you don't want to do that right now, that's totally fine. You change your mind later. I'm just here to have a good time in whatever capacity that happens. Then that allows her to say later on, you know what? I think that good time should include us sleeping together. All right. So that's how you get that to happen on a date when you're thinking like, okay, how do I tell if she wants to sleep with me? The reality is some women are going to might give obvious signals, but most of them are going to give passive signals. And when that passiveness is happening, if you can't read it, then you're going to be the one to miss out. So learn how to read women's passive signals. If you need help, I got a plethora of videos on this channel, but you can also go to introvertdatingsuccess.com and sign up for one-on-one coaching. All right. So hopefully, guy, this helps you out. Once again, future boy, if you have a question, be sure to ask it in the chat. I'm going to go over to this next question, and then we'll get into the main crux of today's show, and then I'll go answer some more questions as well. So this guy, so on a previous stream, I talked about the whole thing of when women come to you and say, well, I'm not trying to hook up with you on this first or second date or whatever, right? And men always have this thought that like, that means that she's never going to sleep with them, or like, how does he control that if he wants to hook up with her and he's not trying to use her, but he still wants to hook up? What does he do? And so I said that, I was a virgin until I was 23. And so I'm in the practice of waiting. And so I said, I'll tell women, you know what, why don't we wait like 5 or 6 dates? Like we can wait 90 days if you want, because I can actually outwait you. Like I'm here to get to know you in whatever. This is the secret line, guys. I'm here to get to have fun with you. I'm here to get to learn about you in whatever capacity that means, whether we hook up or just go out to dinners or come back to my place and just watch TV, whatever capacity that is. But I've told women before, I can outwait you. Like, if they're saying like, I don't want to hook up to the third date, I can be like, why not wait till 6 dates? And then the look on their face when I say that stuff is like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, if we're throwing out arbitrary timelines, like I can outwait you. Like, why don't we just wait the whole time? And I find that usually changes their mind, because at that point they realize A, how silly they're being. And also they're realizing, oh crap, like he really is not in this to use me for a hookup. And now I want to hook up. So this guy wrote me and he said, thanks for the advice. I actually used that 90 days line on her tonight. You should have seen the shock on her face. I'm telling you guys, I have seen that shock before. I know exactly what it looks like. And then he says, I'm dating others so I can be patient and see how things go. So far it's working and she's far more initiating. Yeah, isn't it amazing how when you appear indifferent to women in your dating life, how much more work they want to do in order to prove to you that they should be around? And that's what I tell you. That's what I always tell you guys. If she's chasing you, she can't be replacing you. Is because if you as the guy, you're doing the pursuit part of you're asking her on dates, you're spending time, money, energy, and effort, right? So you're already doing your part. But a woman that sees value in that and sees that you are a great catch is going to do her fair share of also initiating, texting you, hitting up to see if you're busy, like seeing if you're seeing other girls. And so this is why being indifferent is so important. But to this guy's point, it's like I said, this is why also you need to be indifferent to how soon a hookup with a woman happens. Because some of you guys are on like, some of you guys, women can tell that you've had a peace sleeve embargo, but you haven't had any for a long time. And you're getting on this date with this girl, and your first thought is like, I'm finally on a date, and now I want to hook up. No. I don't care if it's been 6 weeks, a month, a year since you've had some. The main thing is still, you need to go on these dates acting like you're getting it all the time, and it doesn't faze you if she wants to wait a little bit. And doing that action and promoting to her that, hey, you know what? If you want to wait, I get it. Totally fine. I cannot wait you.
you will find that that takes the pressure off of them to feel like giving it up to you is not their choice. And once it's their choice, you're going to find that the choice that they usually make is going to be the one that allows them to physically explore you when they're ready. And you're going to find they're going to be ready a lot faster when you're not pushing the agenda. So that's why, like this guy said, he used the 90 days line. She's like, what? Because they're not used to hearing that. They've gone on 9 other dates with 9 other guys that have all tried to push them towards the bedroom too fast. And it's not that she would have done it. Because, hey, you can get a first date or second date or third date hookup, but you making that sound like your agenda on these first few dates is going to make her want to wait longer because she doesn't feel safe. She doesn't feel as though you're not going to just hook up with her and then leave. But when you present to her like, hey, you know what? Whenever you're ready, I'm good. I'm telling you, you're going to find that they're ready a lot faster. So take that for what it is. It works. I'm telling you, it definitely will show a woman that you're different from the other guys, and she's going to be more apt to want to hook up a lot faster, right? So with all that said, let's now get into the crux of today's show. We are talking about the reasons why women prefer decisive men, and we're talking about how you can become a more decisive guy. So I came across a few videos on TikTok this week where women are giving examples of men not being decisive, and also the complications that arise from when a guy is not decisive and why they actually want a man that's willing to actually make decisions versus leaving it all on her to make those decisions, okay? And then I found a great audio from Mr. Lucario, who's a great advice gator also. I always try to give you guys the best sources, and he's one of the best sources on the net to get dating advice from. But he did a whole thing talking about why women like decisive men. So first, we're going to show a couple of these videos. So let me get this one pulled up here first. Do the window this way. Yeah. So in this first video, this is a hilarious video I saw on Facebook where this woman's talking about or showing an example of what happens when a man is too easygoing and not willing to actually just make a decision. Let's watch.
Do we order tonight?
Yeah, sure.
Or I can make dinner if you prefer.
That's fine too. Whatever's easier for you.
Okay, I'm gonna reserve for tonight.
Okay, sounds good.
7 or 8?
Either or, doesn't matter.
I need you to decide.
Okay, 8.
Isn't 8 a bit too late?
Okay, 7.
She's so frustrated.
Okay, so there's this dress.
Nice.
Or this one.
Also nice.
Which one?
Well, they're both great.
Okay, but which one do you see me in?
You look gorgeous in either, doesn't matter.
Oh my god, thank you. I love you. But can you work with me here and choose a dress?
Well, you're wearing the dress, so it's your decision at the end.
Why are you like this?
Like what?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I think back to my college days, and I was exactly like this guy was being in the video, where on the few chances that I'd actually get a woman to say yes to a date, they'd be like, so what are we going to do? And my response would be like, well, I mean, whatever you want to do. Well, we should get some food. Okay, great. I'd be like, where do you want to eat? Well, I mean, wherever's fine. Like, what do you think is good? And I'd be like, well, wherever you think is good. Those dating things didn't really last that long because I was not being decisive. So what is it about this scenario, though, that is so frustrating to women, right? Because she's asking him what seemingly is like simple questions. Hey, this dress or this dress? Hey, this food or this food? This time or this time? And to us guys, your thought process could very well be, you know what? I don't care either way, regardless of what dress she picks or what time we go out. I'm so cool, calm, and collected that I can just go with the flow. And you're a go with the flow guy. You're very easygoing. You're like, hey, whatever decision happens, I'm cool either way. I can do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like that too. I'm like, hey, at the end of the day, a restaurant isn't a big deal. If we're trying to decide between Mexican or Chinese, or you're having me choose between a red dress or a green dress, or we got to go out at either 7 or 8 o'clock, like anything's cool with me. I'm generally totally fine. But why does that bug women so much? Okay. Here's the reality, guys, is that for one, women are stuck in their heads all the time. And women, I have found, typically live in the land of maybe. I've talked about this before, where it's like they're on this plane of like, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that, maybe I should choose this thing, maybe I should choose that thing. And they're always weighing pros and cons. But unfortunately for most women, when they're weighing pros and cons, everything comes up even. Like they can think of 4 pros and cons about this green dress and 4 pros and cons about this red dress. And it keeps them stuck in the land of not really being able to fully solidify a decision. And so when they come to you, they're looking for you to be the decider. They're looking for you to basically say, hey, look, I'm trying to make decisions about this stuff. And ultimately, I just need a voice outside of myself to say, one of these things is fine. Now, does she logically know that a green dress or a red dress in the grand scheme of things isn't going to matter because she'll probably end up getting both or they'll both look good on her? Absolutely. But that does not mean that in that moment, she's not looking for you to help her with that decision. She's using this as a way to be able to connect with your thought process and to be able to use your guidance and leadership on a decision, because some of this stuff is really just about the woman wanting a certain feeling from her man that indicates to her that he is a masculine guy. Making decisions and being a leader is something that women need to feel from their guy to feel that he's masculine and giving that masculine energy. Because just like we crave feeling feminine energy by them being soft or by them dressing in lingerie at times or sometimes cooking for us or whatever, like women are giving us chances to show them masculinity so they can feel that masculine presence from us. And we rob them of that when we say, well, whatever, well, you make the decision, because now in her head, that's her having to make a decision. That's putting her in the masculine role again. And she's not trying to feel that. She's trying to feel it from you. You see that? And so that's why this becomes frustrating, because it's not about, we're always thinking logically like, oh, does the time actually matter? Does the dress actually matter? It's more about, are you giving her the feeling of masculinity that in that moment she may need from you? And a lot of times you're not doing it. Like you're trying to leave planning a date to her. You're trying to leave her making decisions about certain pieces of furniture or hardware or whatever like that up to her. And she doesn't want to do that. She's in her head all day with a bunch of other random decisions that you're not even thinking about, that she's thinking are like big cataclysmic world enders. And you're trying to be the nice guy by being like, oh, well, babe, whatever you want. And I'm telling you, you saying, babe, whatever you want is probably killing more women's attraction to you than you can possibly imagine. This is why I advocate for you guys to plan dates where you don't ask her what she wants to do, or to make decisions in your guys' relationship that don't always involve her. I'm not talking about like the big things like where you're going to move or what kind of car to buy, but I'm talking about stuff like, oh, which soap do you get from the store when you go shopping? Like, if she's asking you, which soap should I get? That shouldn't be a thing where you have to say like, well, whatever you want to get. You can say, oh, I like Dawn better. Most women aren't going to give you follow-up questions. They just want a decision made so they can get out of their head and move on to the next thing that they're thinking about. All right. Speaking of that, though, here's another video that really stresses the importance of why women want men's input when it comes to the decision-making process. This is about, oftentimes women complain about men not like helping with household chores and wanting to have the woman write up a list of them of things to do. So we're going to get into that video right now.
Women wish men knew. What is involved in the running of a house and a family? The amount of mental space that's dedicated to run a house and a family. A lot of women carry this mental, it's like an open tab on your browser all the time. Always thinking, add that to the grocery list, schedule that appointment, make sure we put that on the to-do list. We need to get a contractor here for that. We need to get this painted. It's constant.
Now think about that for a second, guys. Think about the idea of an open tab. Because when I'm on YouTube or just on the internet in general, I have like 12 different tabs open. And at any given time, I'm switching back and forth between tabs. If I'm working on something in Canva, for example, for like one of my thumbnails, I got to go back to this thing to cut the thing that I said here, to paste it back into Canva here, then put this design here and do this over here. And then I got to check this one video that I got to download over here. It's like a cataclysmic calamity of things on my tab, right? So now picture like a woman in her brain, the typical examples, like woman's brain is like spaghetti where it's like it's all mushed together. So think about like open tabs, right? She has all these tabs open at one time and she's trying to concentrate on all of them to get all the things done. And then you're coming along and saying, well, babe, I need help doing this, or I need you to tell me how to do this thing, X, Y, and Z. And they're going to get into why it is that is not efficient for a woman and why it makes her frustrated.
You think about the amount of bandwidth that is now being absorbed by that task. If you can take half of that, that is equal partnership in the house. It's not, well, what do you want me to do? Make a list for me. Explain why. Because it's not that making a list is difficult. That's not where the breakdown's happening. It's because this whole tab that's open for me stays open, and now I am going to have to funnel down what is in your skill set and your willingness and capacity. I'm not actually getting to close that tab and relax or recall all of that energy towards something else that I would rather focus on.
So I want to pause for a second because that's important. You know what she said? She said that basically she's already concentrating on stuff, and you're coming along, and rather than saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to make a decision to take this stuff off your plate. And more importantly, I'm going to just go ahead and do it. I'm not going to ask you the step-by-steps unless it's absolutely necessary, but like, I'm going to take this stuff off away. And that allows them to be more relaxed. And what you want is a woman that's relaxed, because women that are relaxed are able to bathe in their femininity, because they can trust you. They can say, he's got it. He's taking care of this part. I'm so grateful for that. And so that means I can just kind of chill back a bit and, once I finish these tabs here, I got a second to just breathe. And hey, while I'm breathing, I can now think about some wonderful things that I can do for my man, do for my family, that is going to really show them how much I appreciate them taking this off. But instead, you're now adding more work to her, which makes her more stressed out, which makes her have to be more in that leadership role that we talked about earlier, which is going to make her have to lean more into her masculine role, which is not going to allow her to feel like the woman she wants to feel like around her guy.
I'm having to set you up, and it feels almost like parent-child dynamic.
Which is also not attracted to women. Most women, they don't want to be your mom. Like, they might want to care for you on some level like her, but they don't want to have the day-to-day of like her telling you, so this is the task you're going to do today, and here's your little cheat list, and I want you to check off every single task, and you're going to get a gold star when you do it. Like, that then puts her in the dynamic of being your mom. And if she's your mom, she's not going to want to feel like being your lover. And that's where a lot of this breakdown starts to happen, where they go from like being really attracted to you, but now you can't make decisions. So she's making all the decisions, which means now she has to guide you and tell you what to do. And that is going to put her in a role that's going to make her feel less sexy and less attractive.
Instead of partner to partner. Partner to partner says, hey, I see this huge open tab and I'm going to take this chunk. Don't worry about it anymore.
And I'm like, masculine.
Yeah. It's consolidating my bandwidth for me to focus on what does need my attention and what can take my attention.
Right. And this is, by the way, this is not to say that, you know, women shouldn't take on some of these tasks, but it is saying that women are looking for you to be intuitive. And I talked about this before. You being intuitive to what her needs are and being intuitive to the things that are overwhelming her that you could help take over, so it allows her to relax a bit. That's why women oftentimes get so frustrated when they have to directly tell you everything. And I know, I get it. As a guy, you take direction. It's easier for you to know specifics about what you're going to do, but you got to get better at being able to say, okay, she looks like she's kind of exhausted with doing all this laundry, so maybe I can wash the dishes, or maybe I can do some lawn work, or maybe I can take the kids today. And, you know, because I'm getting the feeling that she needs a little bit of a break. So normally she takes the kids to practices. I'll take them today because I can tell she needs a break. Just taking that little initiative, she's going to feel that you get her. She's going to feel that you're on the same wavelength, that you understand the stress that she's going through. And she's going to appreciate that a lot more versus, again, her having to tell you everything. Now you become one of the children, or her old adult child that she was once a lover to, but because she has to tell you everything all the time, and because you're not able to make a freaking decision without her, that now she's starting to lose interest and attraction, you know? And so this goes back to, you need to be more decisive. Women find that attractive. And we'll go over why that is. But first, I want to play this brief clip from Mr. Lucario about being a more decisive man. And I'll stop in parts along the way.
Decisive, right? So now, being decisive is really, really important, okay? It's really important. And the thing is that most guys are indecisive when they're on dates. And what happens is that they end up asking the woman what she wants to do. So basically, what is being decisive? Basically, you just deciding on something, you making a...
Yeah, and this is the problem most of you guys have probably experienced before, because again, when I was not so great at dating, I had the same thing. It's like, we have this thought of, again, we're logical, right? So this is where logic trips us up. We're thinking, in order for her to have a good time on this date, I need to know exactly where to take her. And so if I just ask her where to go and she tells me, boom, we'll have a good time. And I've said this before, women are not looking necessarily for us to pick the best place. They're just looking to get the feel of us being a man by making a decision about the place. But I've done that where I've said, hey, so I was thinking we could go here, 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 like wherever you want to go. And women get extremely turned off by that, which we'll go into in a little bit.
a decision. Do you understand? So what happens is that a lot of guys will go on dates, right? And what happens is that when they're on these dates, they will sometimes meet up with a girl, and then the girl will be like, so, what's going on? What are we going to do? And then the guy's like, I don't know. What do you want to do? Right? So when you get into that zone of going on a date and not having a plan and asking a woman what she wants to do, right? That is going to turn her off. You know?
Immensely. You could have had a woman that was all about you, and you met her on a dating app, or met her in person. You guys had a good conversation, rapport, and you got the phone number, or you got her snap or whatever. And then you hit her up with that date, and she's all excited and say, yeah, I want to go on a date with you. And then what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? Panties dry up, get pulled back up, and you no longer have a date. And she was a woman that would have actually probably gone the distance with you, but on the jump, you're already showing her that she's going to have to be the one to lead this relationship and wear the pants and make the decisions. And she's looking at you, sending her that versus the other guys in her DMs, some of which are actually being like, yo, I'm going to take you out at this place at this time. Let's do it. And are being more decisive. And you're losing to them simply because you will make a decision. And I've been the beneficiary of being able to get women on dating apps, for example, on first dates, simply because my presentation was, hey, I want to take you out. I'm free at this time and this time. I already know where to take us. Boom.
Understand? Because it's masculine for you. It's a masculine trait for you to decide, for you to lead, for you to be the one who is making that decision. So she's looking for you to make that decision. Do you understand? And so that decision making and you being decisive is the thing that's going to turn her on. That's the thing that's going to make her want you more. Do you understand?
Exactly. Now, to his point, why is that? Why is it that women find men who are decisive so freaking attractive? Well, we're going to go now into the 5 reasons that women prefer men who are decisive. All right. Here's the first reason, is that it displays confidence. All right. And you guys know by now, women love confident men. But why is that? Well, confidence equals strength, and it gives the impression that you are a guy that is leadership quality. You are able to be a decisive leader. You're going to be able to be somebody she can trust to guide and make decisions about things without her having to always be the one to do that. All right. And that allows a woman, again, to relax and bathe in her femininity. She doesn't want to always be the one making decisions. I know today you might be fooled because you're like, women have jobs, women are presidents of companies. And it's like, yeah. And you know what happens? Those women go home. Like, say you have like a woman president, right? She goes home to her man and is like, I have the decision to make it work tomorrow. And just, these people are about to get fired and laid off. And I don't want to do that. But then there's other things happening, blah, 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 blah. And you know what she's doing? She's having discussions with her man at home. And the man's being like, well, have you considered this? Have you tried this? How about this? He's being able to be confident in helping her make a decision about stuff. So even though she's the head of the company, she still has a man in the background that's helping make decisions. And by the way, this goes both ways, because I think that you should find a woman that's able to help you think out decisions, but ultimately you're the one that's going to come to that final decision about what's going to be best for your situation. And that's what she's looking for. All right. And that's why they find that so attractive, because you being decisive equals you being confident in the fact that you're able to make decisions in the first place. The second reason that women prefer decisive men is because of security. You got to think about, in the lifespan of a woman, she's going to come across many, many more threats than we have. And so she's going to need a man that's going to be there, that's able to take charge in difficult situations, whether it's somebody trying to run up on her on the street, or whether it's, a big decision for the family that might involve moving or putting the kids into a certain school. I remember, this is just a short story from my life, right? When I was 16, I was in honors classes, right? And my brother I was in 10th grade. My brother was still in 8th grade, about to go to my high school. And he was a very nice kid. And so all the teachers were letting him pass these classes in English, despite the fact that he had really bad grammar and poor sentence structure, right? And so we went to go visit this private school that one of my other friends had gone to, and it was a college prep school. And the school there, you could just tell they had AP classes, they had really good math classes, English classes, but more importantly, they had English or reading classes that were going to be really good to equip my brother, who was going into 9th grade, to be able to read on a college level by the time he got out of that high school. Because in middle school, he was still reading at like a 6th grade level in 8th grade, because these dumb teachers weren't like, they were treating him like the nice kid, and they weren't like really checking his work like that. And so we went and toured the school, right? And so my mom, again, keep in mind, at this point, I am 16. My dad's gone, so I'm the oldest guy in the house, right? My mom comes to me and says, so what do you want to do? Do you think we should like, go to this, you guys should go to this college prep school, or should you stay in the high school you're at? And from what my mom told me, she was like, I basically said, you know what? I think that, like, because I'm going to have to move schools now. If we move to different schools, I got to abandon all my friends to go to this school, right? And I said, you know what? I think ultimately if he goes to the school that I'm at now, I'm at honors classes, so they're going to take care of me, but he's going to get lost in the system, and they're not going to care, and he's going to graduate high school still on a 6th grade reading level. So I think we should go to this other school. And my mom followed my lead, and that's what we ended up doing. And what happened? The first year in that high school, he really struggled because he had a teacher that was a hard nose and was like on him. But by the end of the 9th grade, he was reading at a 9th grade level. And that wouldn't have happened had I not made the decision for my mom for us to go to that school. And not because my mom understood back then, like we were going into young men, and that there were some times where she needed to trust our leadership on things. And so, but think of how life-changing that was for my brother to make that decision at that time for my mom, you know? And so that's the thing, is that women are going to look for men to make decisions that are going to allow them to be more secure in things, and that's for the benefit of them overall. If you can't make decisions, a woman's not going to be able to trust that you're going to be the person to go to when a big decision needs to be made or something cataclysmic is happening in life, you know? So you got to get into the habit of being able to be comfortable making decisions. The third reason why women prefer decisive men is for direction. A man that's decisive, it's indicative to women that you have drive, you have ambition, and that you're working towards goals, all of which are going to greatly benefit her in the long run. And also, if you're doing those things, she knows that your life's going to be a lot happier. Therefore, you're going to treat her a lot better because you're happy for achieving these goals and dreams that you have. But if you're not able to be decisive, she's going to be thinking, what other things is he not being decisive about? Is he not able to go after that thing he wants? Is he not able to, go up to his boss and say, hey, I deserve a raise, or get a job with a better situation should the first one not be working out? Like, you got to understand, you making decisions goes just beyond that first date. She's reading into the future of, if you can't make a decision with little old me as a woman right now, what other things is he not going to decide on? And is he going to be able to actually decide on a clear pathway for his life that's going to allow us to ultimately be successful and live the kind of life that we need to lead? The fourth reason that women prefer decisive men is because of communication. If you're able to be decisive about things, it indicates to women that you're able to say the things that you want and express how you actually feel about things clearly and without apology, meaning you're not going to just say things to please her, because that could trip you guys up later. Something down the line comes up and you're just like, well, you said you agreed with me on this thing, or you want to do this thing just like I did. And you're like, well, I was just agreeing with you at the time, babe. That puts it back into, you're not putting her in the leadership role where she doesn't actually want to be. So this is why, once again, that if you are decisive and you're able to say, well, I like this, I don't want to do that, whatever, then she's going to also know that when it comes to asking you about your feelings about something or about a situation and getting your true thoughts on something, that she can trust that you're going to communicate those actual things, because you're a guy that's already able to make decisions going into things, And then the fifth reason that women prefer decisive men is because it indicates that you are responsive, that you're going to be responsive to her needs, as well as take actions that benefit the relationship. If she comes to you and says, hey, babe, you know what? We've been going out for like 6 months, and I noticed that we haven't really been going out as much, and I really kind of missed that. You're going to be the guy that's going to be like, oh, you know what? I feel you, babe. You're right. I've been slacking a bit. Let's go out on a date tonight, and I'll make sure to plan a date at least once a week from now on. That is you being decisive. That's you saying, I'm taking your needs and I'm making a decision right now to remedy this situation. And women love that. Women love the idea of, my man hears me, and then he's actually right away making corrective steps that are going to benefit us overall. Versus if you're leaving everything up to her, then she'll come to you with a complaint. Hey, babe, so we haven't been on dates in a while. And you're going to be like, oh, well, what should we do? Where do you want to go? How should we remedy this? And that's not making her feel like she's in a partnership. It's making her feel like she's still the one that has to take on the masculine role of making these decisions that she doesn't actually want to make. All right. So this is why women prefer decisive men. It's more attractive. It gives all qualities of masculinity that ultimately women are looking for in their men. So with that said, how can you then become a more decisive guy? Well, I have 5 ways that you can start doing that. If you've been slacking in the area of not being so confident in being able to make decisions without thinking that, oh, it's going to annoy her if I don't ask her opinion, or what if she doesn't like the thing that I choose, et cetera, et cetera. So here's the first way you can be more decisive. Practice. Nothing comes without practice. And the reality is that some of you guys, maybe it was because of maybe you were in a household where like your parents ruled over all your decisions, or maybe you were with a partner that didn't appreciate you being able to make decisions. But regardless, you need to practice making decisions. It can start with something simple as like life goals. You have 3 things on your plate that you always wanted to do. Choose one of them and start doing that. Or let's say you have female friends. I've done this before. I've been around female friends that I'm not trying to date, where they're like, oh man, God, what should we do? Should we go bowling or should we this and that? And I'll just speak up and say, let's do this. And then we all do it. And it's like, oh, so they were just looking for the guy in the group to be the one to make a definitive thing that says, let's do this thing. And what you'll find is as you practice this, you'll start to get results and be able to see that when you're making these decisions, you're actually getting good results. And the more you get good results and the more you practice it, you'll have more confidence in your ability to continue to do that, because you're seeing that every time I make a decision, there's not a lot of pushback and good things actually happen. But you got to take that bold step of first learning to decide on something, whether it's with involving yourself, the girls you're dating, but some way and somehow you got to start practicing making more and more decisions and not being so hesitant. Which goes to the second point, which is the second way to be more decisive, is that you have to learn to embrace failure. The reality is when you're asking women on a date, some of us feel like, well, if I mention Chinese, but she doesn't like Chinese food, oh my God, it's going to be over. You have to learn to get used to the idea that as a decisive person, sometimes you're going to fail. You're going to make a decision and it's the wrong decision. Maybe you want to take her to a dairy farm and she's allergic to milk. Oh no. But you learn through failures, that the consequences of those failures aren't really as bad as you thought they were. And also when you fail, you just learn what not to do next time. And you need to get a gauge on what not to do in order to get better at what to do. This is why I wrote a whole book called No Girls For You, The Ultimate Guide to Losing the Girl of Your Dreams, where I talk about all the mistakes I made during dating that you guys can learn from so you won't make them anymore. But the point is that I was able to embrace those failures and make a book that's sold very well and has helped a lot of guys learn what not to do. But had I not gone through that failure, I wouldn't have had a book. I wouldn't be able to start this whole dating advice thing, and I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So learn that failures most of the time can be backtracked and that they're not end all be alls. If you ask a woman on a date to a movie and she doesn't like the movie, okay, you learn she doesn't like this kind of movie. She's probably going to still let you go on another date with her, but you have to learn to be okay with sometimes you're going to plan a date, and worst case scenario is it makes for a great story. I've been on some dates that were just not what I thought they were going to be, and then we end up laughing up later like, oh, that was a crazy date, right? Not because of anything I did, but because the thing we went to was just weird, or it rained, or suddenly this thing happened, and oh, what a great bonding story. The third way to start learning to be more decisive is to learn to gather information before making decisions. Okay, so you're like, I want to take a girl out on a date, but I don't know what she's into, right? Because especially if you're doing online dating, for one, you can start gathering information. You can go back to her profile and say, okay, she likes mountain climbing, and here she is holding a mimosa, so she definitely likes brunch of some kind. So, okay, I can think of a few things based on these things, but learn to research, learn to ask questions. Hey, when you first meet a girl, you're like, hey, what things are you into? What do you like? What's your favorite song? What kind of foods do you like? You should be doing this kind of gathering all the time. So when it comes to planning out a date, it's not a hard stretch for you to think up of some things that she'd like to do, versus having to ask her, hey, so what kind of food do you want to go to get? And what kind of activity do you want to do? Again, context clues, guys. Women are looking for you to use your intuition and be able to figure, based on what your conversation's been, to figure out some stuff. Or you can go generic. I know, there's a bad rap about stereotyping, but you could go into okay, what do women typically like? They like, drinks. They like wineries. They like, nice dinners. Okay, go with that. It's not hard to think of a 3 to 5 places in your town where you can get a nice drink or a nice dinner. But the point is, I want to stress to you that for them, oftentimes it's not about the activity so much as the fact that you've planned it. But that said, you can use a little bit of learning some stuff about her enough to know, okay, she'll probably like these things. All right. The fourth way to start being more decisive is learn to trust your instincts. Guys, I know, I get it. You want to know exactly what she likes and what she wants. But the reality is that sometimes you have to go with your gut. You can say, okay, I think most women like a nice restaurant, or like Chinese food, or walks in the park or picnics. So I'll try that. I don't want you to bank on everything having to be so exact. Learn to say, I think they're probably going to like this. If she doesn't end up liking it, again, it's a story, but at worst, she'll say, hey, why don't we do something else instead? Like women, if they don't like your activity, they'll speak up and say, well, let's do this thing instead. All right. So don't assume that women aren't going to tell you that stuff. But for the most part, you can learn to trust your instincts, and you'll learn as you start to do that and you start to get great results, then you'll also be able to build on that more to where you're not so shy about trying to make a decision, because you'll know that you've gotten a lot better at it. And the response has been great to where you can trust your instincts a lot more. And then the fifth way to learn to be more decisive is to be open to feedback. Hey, you know what? These aren't end all be alls. So you go on a date, you have a good time with her, whatever like that. You can say later on, hey, so like, how'd you feel about the date? Or like, what'd you think about what we did or whatever? And be open to getting honest feedback. She might say, well, it was a good time, but I like this kind of food better, or I think maybe the music could have been a little better. Or she could say, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. I'm so glad you planned it out, yada, yada, yada. But the point is that we want you to get better. And that comes with being open to feedback, to not being butthurt if a woman says, I didn't like this activity, or even just like asking other women, hey, I'm thinking about taking this girl on this date. Like, what do you think about this kind of date? And see what other women say, But all this goes back to researching, feedbacking, trusting your instincts. All this stuff is going to allow you to get into the space where you trust your instincts more. Because me at 20, I wasn't trusting all that much about, what my decisions were or if women would like stuff. And now in my 40s, it's very easy to be like, yeah, I'm going to plan this thing. She's not going to fight me on it. I know this is going to be a fun thing, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And I found that women are more appreciative of men that plan things versus men that are being apprehensive and cautious and trying to ask them what they want to do, and then them getting turned off by it. All right. So this is just a few examples of how you can start to learn to be more decisive and why it is that women find this so attractive. Now, maybe you're a guy that's been anxious or needy, or have been figuring I need to ask women all the time what they really want because I don't know how to get out of my headspace. And that goes back to having to change your mindset. If you need help with some stuff like that, you can go to the website, introvertdatingsuccess.com, and sign up for one-on-one coaching. I'd love to be able to help you figure out once and for all how to get out of the anxious space and get into a space where you are more confident so you can make more decisions and be more bold when you are asking women out. All right. So if you need help with that, go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, click on the coaching tab, and we can set up a one-on-one coaching consultation with you today. All right. So anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching this broadcast. Be sure to share it with your friends. Be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. And like I said, guys, if you guys have any questions you want me to answer on one of these shows, you can leave it in the comments, or you can write to me at harrywilmington@gmail.com. But thank you so much for watching this show. I'll be back later this week with another episode, so be sure to come in for that. And I will talk to y'all later. I'm out. Peace.
Call this beat Will Smith, cause it slaps hard. Hear it now.